Hey everybody, Hillbilly Bobby here. I just have a few topics today I would like to touch on. Um, First is there are two things. One is concerning a band that has been around since, as far as I know, the late '80s, early '90s, at least by their band name, which I'm not going to tell you right now. I'll tell you in just a second. And the other issue is these horrible school shootings. You may have noticed, or you may have viewed my other videos on this, and I was a little bit upset. I kind of attacked Kelly Clarkson probably a little too much. I rewatched her full statements and on the Billboard Awards, and I would just like to apologize to her and to anyone else I offended because, although what she said about a moment of silence, not working, I didn't like that comment, but, I failed to realize that she did follow it up with, why don't we make it a moment of action? And, my point was on the comment concerning a moment of silence not working, was that that's not a tool for change. That's an entirely different thing. It's a memoriam. It's to respect and honor people. But she did say that we need to change. We need to call for change. So, and she was visibly upset. Which I don't think was a put on. But anyway, I just wanted to say those few things. The band. The band is Collective Soul, and I'm sure some of you are definitely know of the band, but I guarantee you there are at least that many more, and probably more, who never heard of them, but you know their songs. I guarantee you know their songs. Probably their best known hit was one of their earliest. It was their first hit, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Shine. And if you don't recognize the song by that title, you will recognize the chorus, which is, "Oh, heaven, let your light shine down." You know that. I guarantee you know it. And another one of their songs is, Don't turn around, don't speak it out. Turn your head now, baby, just spit me out. Probably heard of that one. There's also Where the River Flows. I'm gonna leave some out because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. But I wanted to say some things about Collective Soul. I being I guess, hobbyist musician, songwriter. You can see some of my other tapes concerning that. Have such respect for these guys. I call them songsmiths, referring to like blacksmith and stuff like that. Because their approach, which primarily is Ed Roland, I'm not sure who all the band members are today, but the two constants, from what I understand, through the years have been the brothers, Ed Roland and Dean Roland, and Ed being the primary songwriter. As a matter of fact, he may write all the songs, I don't know, and the music, but I imagine a lot of it is a collaborative effort, on the music end. Lyrically, I would probably there's some collaboration that goes on, once you're trying to work a song out, but I think Ed Roland is the creative force, creative genius behind Collective Soul. And what a name. You gotta love that name, Collective Soul. But they have influenced me tremendously. Songs have structure, and they have definite beginnings, middles, ends, and there's a formula to songs, and these guys are masters. I mean, they just they know how to write complete songs, and that doesn't give them justice, but that's what I'm saying. and Ed Roland has an extremely beautiful voice, a beautiful male voice. He has range, incredible range, and the songs that Collective Soul write, for the most part, are inspirational. They're upbeat, positive, happy. You know, they do have their moody, which is very, very um, alluring. I mean, it draws you in. You know, they can create a mood with their music, and you know, it seems that there is not a trend, but this idea of loudness and blazing fast guitar licks and power chords and all this stuff. You know, Collective Soul, they do some of that, but they don't need that. You know, they don't need gimmicks and stuff. But I will probably spend some more time with these guys. I really didn't prepare anything, which I never do. I don't have notes or anything. I just talk off the top of my head. And I'm not saying that's the best way to do it, but that's the way I do it right now. And one day I will have me a desktop, and I'll have a little studio and all that. I promise you. But anyway, just wanted to give props to Collective Soul. If you haven't listened to them, give them a listen, because they will not disappoint, unless you like rap, which is not music. And I will dedicate an entire video to that. And I'm so tempted to take off on it right now, but I'm not going to. You know, but okay. The other issue. This is, I have trouble with dates, guys, so I think this is May 22nd. It's Monday, so I think it's May 22nd. This morning, I'm in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott is holding a meeting, a conference, to discuss these school shootings. And, you know, that's a great thing to do, because we need to talk about it, and more importantly, we need to do something about it. And I was thinking this morning, hey, what if I was able to go to that meeting? What would I have to say? What kind of input would I have? And I'm known for radical ideas. I have to say that I am, for example, I don't believe any individual citizen should own a gun. You know, what for? If you want to hunt, we should have areas where people are permitted to hunt, and you will be issued a weapon there at the hunting area, and you don't take it home with you. There are so many self-protective devices that are not guns that won't kill people, but will certainly disable them. And I think that more emphasis needs to be put on those devices over guns. The Billy Bob redneck mentality that's in this country, that's existed for way too long, needs to stop. It needs to change, because you don't need to have a gun in your house. You know, there probably, no, not probably, definitely gun owners, for the vast majority of gun owners, will live their entire life and rarely fire that gun in their home. It'll just sit there, and it'll be of no use. All it will be is a potential threat to anyone that may be undergoing a crisis, mental illness, burglars, you name it. All it is a firearm that's accessible to people other than the owner. You know, and anyway, I have a few radical ideas, and you know, I was brainstorming this morning just to try to come up with, you know, what, like I said, what would I have to say at such a meeting? Do I have anything of value to add? Okay, a couple of my radical ideas are, first off, in order to get on a plane, you have to pass through a TSA security checkpoint. Take your shoes off. You go through a machine that where you get in, you put your hands over your head, You stand on these little yellow footprints, and it scans your whole body. There was some controversy about those machines when they first come out, you know, being able to see body parts and whatnot. So what? I mean, when you, yeah, be offended, because if you got a bomb on you or some kind of other harmful device and you're intending to hurt other people, I don't care if you stand there naked, you know. But I think a similar setup should be used for schools. And the school grounds, and I think we should start with high schools. They should be, a perimeter should be established, and it should be fenced with fences that you cannot climb over, razor wire topped, double fenced if necessary, 15 foot, 20 foot, I don't care how high they are, electric on top. You cannot get through this fence, okay? And that being in place, we need to have a separate building away from the school, main school campus, one entrance to the school. And I would have to leave it to the experts to design the actual process of to get students through, because it couldn't be a lengthy thing. I mean, come on, some campuses, thousands of students, so there would have to be those campuses. Actually, you'd probably have to make an additional entry point, maybe a third entry point. But I think the majority of the schools could get by with one entry point. And in this entry point, it would people would be required to remove their jackets and coats, not shoes necessarily, but I mean, if that was determined that that would be necessary, sure. And but you know, we want to keep this the intrusiveness of this to the students to a minimum. But you know, if we had a machine that could be developed where a student just walked through, and they could be their body could be scanned. And again, you know, I realize these are children, so we definitely would have to tune the machines where you're not going to see body parts. But if there is anything that's hidden, that they it would be seen. And but devise some way for students to be screened when they come in. And that's one idea I had. And like I said, in a later video, I will have given it more thought and research, and maybe I can expand on that a little bit. But another idea I had, and I don't think it's quite as good, but it would definitely be effective. And that is that all schools need to be designed with a automatic door lock on every classroom, on every door in the school, every single door, not just the outer doors, classroom doors. And in every classroom, or better, on every teacher and staff member should be a remote device that could trigger these locks and lock everything out. Because in so doing, the attacker would either be locked out of classrooms, or, you know, in the saddest case, would be locked into a classroom, and where he or she could not do any further, commit any further mayhem and murder in there. And like I said, that you know, that's a little bit bad sounding, because if you were in the classroom with someone and the person was locked in the classroom with you, I mean, what a terrifying thing that would be. But it would give an opportunity for students to, you know, bum rush the guy. And I mean, if it's a life or death thing, I can't speak for students, but I am ex-military, and I know that in a situation where there's a threat and I have comrades or not comrades, we're going to take care of that threat. And if it means putting yourself on the line for your brethren and for your fellow human beings, that's what we do. And, you know, in a situation like this where you have a murderous human being out of control, somebody needs to step forward and sacrifice themselves if necessary, to stop this person. And I'm sorry that sounds a little bit crazy, but like I said, I've been trying to think about this. It's really bothered me, and that this is going on in this country. Let's see. Another idea I had briefly, but it would be defeated pretty easily, is to install, like we have sprinkler systems in schools, install a gas that that puts people unconscious immediately. And you think, okay, what about the students? What about them? Would you rather them be dead or unconscious? That was an idea, but I thought, well, the perpetrator would just bring a gas mask. Another idea I had was, in the military we have stun grenades. And if we could set up some sort of system in the hallways that would create that stun effect, that, and again, teachers would have remote access to these things, coded, where it just wouldn't accidentally go off, and where if the perpetrator were in the hallway or in a common area, they could be stunned. And so, anyway, I'll give these things some more thought, guys, but it's like people have said, something has to be done, man. This is not, we're not coming up with ideas that are stopping these things. And I think the problem is rooted much deeper than a lot of people think. And that is in our society's permissiveness and, you know, our out-of-control gun laws. And, you know, there are other root causes here that need to be addressed that, you know, they in and of themselves would not stop school shootings, but they would, they are a factor in preventing them, or a factor in their cause. Because this idea that a student, or that a young person, or a person in general, for that matter, feels like they can murder out of anger, you know, I really don't know why we've gotten to that point. You know, I point to a lot of things. Early in my life, I already knew that these violent games that were coming out, these video games, that there was something wrong there. I dated a lady, she had a 16-year-old son, 18-year-old son. They loved these games. At that time, it was Mortal Kombat and some others that, you know, here's kids sitting down with choosing characters to go out and kill. And you say, oh, it's just a game. Yes, it is a game, but the involvement is not a game. When a person is on this, in this character, chasing another person down, annihilating them, cutting them up, splitting their head up, is that entertainment? Is that what we really want to be teaching our children? Training them? Doesn't that seem a little bit like a training ground for violence? Also, just the overall glorification of violence in our society is pathetic. Sometimes we'll flip through the channels on my TV. I hardly watch TV, and that's the reason is the programming. TV is a great tool, but the programmers are idiots. They're evil, manipulative people. And I was just flipping through the other day, and there was a channel. Here's a person tied down to some sort of table, and they're screaming in agony, and someone's torturing. And I flipped them through, but then I thought, who's watching that? Who's sitting at home with their bag of popcorn, being entertained by human beings harming one another? And take it a step further, movies that have the most violent scenes, the most graphic, realistic scenes, they turn out to be the best sellers. And you can look at a movie line and you see parents with children taking them into these movies. And I'll tell you what, Well, I'm very slow to anger, but god damn, that angers me, because why are you taking your children to watch human beings role play murder and rape and torture and child molestation, kidnapping? Why? How is that entertaining? And further, to a lesser degree though, cartoons. Cartoons went from Bugs Bunny and Popeye to these incredibly complex, what do you call them? I don't even know the names of the characters. I had a girlfriend that had 4 young children under the age of 7, so I would see cartoons. Other than that, I wouldn't even have seen them. Transformers, what they call them. You know, they're just, cartoons have changed they're violent. They're violent, and when you have like a 3 and 4-year-old child watching something like that, they have just about zero discernment, and it's going directly into their mind. And I think that the violence in the media and the glorification of it contributes to a young person's belief that they can use violence to deal with their anger. And guys, there is a way to stop this, and you know, it's all driven by a great evil. And I'm a Christian, and so that evil to me is Satan. It's demonic. And for those of you who think or want to make fun of that or whatever, give me your answer. And but anyway, guys, I'm gonna cut this off. I will continue these discussions, because I mean, if there were ever a pertinent topic in our country, that's it, man. I saw a graphic on the news just this morning about the number of school shootings from 2000 till now. And between 2000 and 2006, there was an average, I think, 6 or 7 incidents a year. Last year, I believe it was, or just in recent years, there were over 30 school shootings. So this is beyond a trend. This is an epidemic. And as with any epidemic, we need to address it completely, all hands on deck, and everyone fully suited, fully armed. Do not be afraid to go forward with ideas that may seem radical, because what's at stake here are the lives of our children and the sanity of our country, if you want to really know. So, all right, guys, hope you have a beautiful day, and we'll get back with you. And before I go, West Virginia, guys, subscribe, and I don't care if you like and all that, but share, and because I would like to get some dialogue on. I have videos out, and it's over 400 views. I got 3 comments. I'm like, ooh. Anyway, I appreciate if you guys comment, and you know, correct me if I'm out of line. Suggest to me things to talk about. Add to what I've said. Whatever. Just I would appreciate some dialogue. So, all right, guys. Take care. See you next time on a high ridge in the West Virginia